Hello and welcome to GG Weekend Watch, kindly sponsored by BetMGM, where we have jumps aplenty coming at us on this week's show with action at Haydock and Ascot. Of course, the Grade 1 Betfair Chase being the feature of which I'm going to be looking at these races alongside Dave Young and Andrew Mount as ever. But lads, before we get into the action, of course, we should acknowledge some really sad news from this week. Of course, the fatal injury that occurred with Thyme Hill at his base at Sandhill Racing Stables. So Dave, just before we move on into the action properly, it feels only right that we should just give this a little bit of time to acknowledge Thyme Hill, his magnificent career, and just how much this would have affected everyone.
Yeah, he was one of those just lovable horses. I don't think there was a single person out there that ever had probably anything negative to say about him. My two favourite races of his are both in defeat. That Albert Bartlett, where Richard Johnson couldn't get a gap, that made the form of that race look outstanding. And in the Long Walk Hurdle 2020, when he was just nabbed by Paisley Park on the line, I remember seeing Richard Johnson after absolutely livid. And I'm adamant that he wanted to retire on that day after winning a Grade 1. Of course, he went and won the Grade 1 at Aintree after, which Richard Johnson wasn't on board for. But some horse, like not even a rogue, but just a lovable type of horse. He won 8 of the 20 starts, I think. But yeah, those couple of runs in defeat just showed the tenacity of the horse. He was a legend, wasn't he?
That's exactly it. And for all that we go on about racing, and Andrew throws one to you about horses, you know, with these unbeaten records. But I feel that we as racing fans and the public, we tend to gravitate towards horses that have got that bit of character, that have been beaten, because we feel like we know them more as an individual. And that was certainly the case for Thyme Hill.
Yeah, we like trials, don't we, with a willing attitude, and those who, when they are beaten, go out carried out on their shield. And that was the case with him. As Dave says, my two favourite races of his were those ones in defeat, and that I've been watching that Monkfish Albert Bartlett again this morning. I mean, he got beaten by 3 of the top Irish horses, only went down by about a length and a half, I think, or not even that, and he's beaten the next British trained runner by 17 lengths. You know, unlucky not to get the gap and challenge a little wider than ideal. And some of those battles with Paisley Park were fantastic. And he was one of those ones that he went extremely well when fresh, but I never seemed to back him when he won. I always seemed to be on the runner-up, but you still had a smile on your face even though you'd lost your money, because he was just such a good old boy. And it's surprising to find out that he was only 9 years old, because he does seem to have been part of the national hunt scene for so long. I mean, I saw I was down at Exeter for his Chase debut on Haldon Gold Cup Day last year, and he won a 3-runner race. I thought, oh, he's not a natural over fences. He won't win again over the larger obstacles. And then he goes and wins a Grade 1 by 15 lengths a couple of runs later. So, but again, when he did so, I had a smile on my face. So you could call him wrong and be quite happy, because you couldn't begrudge him of his victories.
Oh, such great words from the pair of you two there, and I echo all of those sentiments completely. And our thoughts, of course, go out to everyone at Sandhill Stables, to Philip Hobbs, Johnson White, his owners, the Haywoods and the Englands as well, who just love the game, proper national hunt type of people. So sending all our best to everyone connected to Thyme Hill. Now we're looking ahead to the action this weekend, and we are beginning at Haydock. This is with a handicap hurdle for 4-year-olds and over 2 mile 3 at 1:15. It looks a pretty wide open contest, 4 to 1 the field. Plenty of last time out winning form in here, Andrew. So who wins this one?
Very good question. I was interested that Albert's Back, a horse I put up each way at Wetherby 3 weeks ago, got a good course record at Wetherby. Had an opportunity to run there last week, and I tipped him up in Racing and Football Outlook on the Monday before that race, fully expecting him to go there, and he's come here instead. So I thought maybe we should take the hint. Although he likes Wetherby, it's probably a case of just liking a flat left-handed track, because he's a quarter distance winner. So I'll go for Albert's Back, the 9-year-old, to build on that debut effort.
9 to 1 as well. Nice price, that course and distance winner. Albert's Back for Andrew. Dave?
Yeah, went through this race in some depth. I was trying to find a winner, but I feel like it's the 3rd leg of the play spot at Haydock, and I'm going to treat it as such. So there won't be a suggested bet, but I'll give you 3. You should definitely stick in the pools. I don't like Park Hill Dancer. I don't think he's any better than his master. The same for Khan Funnock. They're both towards the head of the market. But Fingles Hill, he's on a sequence. The better runs have come over this sort of trip. He looks the type to exploit the lack of class in this race. He goes on any ground, which is a positive for any horse. So it's a good attribute to have. Fingles Hill's definitely on there. Stainsby's Girl is £12 higher than winning this last year, but does go well fresh. Doesn't look as good a renewal, to be honest. Might want it softer, but again, she could pick up a place. And then Laxter Constant shouldn't be ruled out. Dan Skelton's horses appear to be needing their first runs. The mark of 136 didn't look like the limit of his potential as a hurdler rather than when he spent his season chasing last year. So I don't think we've seen everything from him. So Fingles Hill, Stainsby Girl, and Lacta Constance for me in a play spot.
All nice prices for your play spot, of course. Fingles Hill from that magnificent family of the greatest racehorse of all time, Fingal Bay, hence his name. He's the shortest price of those, but still at 6-1. Right, now we head to Ascot for the Grade 2 1965 Chase for 4-year-olds and over 2 mile 5 at 130. Only 4 runners in here. Well, Harry Cobden has obviously been sent to ride Pick Doherty. He's not the favourite though. Shishkin is at 4-6. So Dave, how are you playing this?
Sit back and watch is how are we playing it. This is the beauty of it. We've even talking before, but we've talked about this many times before. We don't have to bet in every race. Sometimes we need to sit back and enjoy the horses. Shishkin was sent off 2-1 for this race last year against Pick Doherty, battered him by 16 lengths. We are not going to be allowed to get that sort of price again. He's a 4-6 poke. He doesn't really travel in his races like he used to. You think like he's won a Supreme, he's won an Arkle, like he's not a travelly type horse anymore. I'm keen to see him in the King George, see how he goes when he's back up to 3 miles. I think it's a possible negative that Nicky Henderson's come here rather than Haydock, where he'd be taking on better horses. So that tempers enthusiasm a little bit. But he's 2 from 2 round here. Pick Dory's 1 from 5. It was another high 170s performance when he won this race last year. So can't see him being beat really, but he was beaten first time up in the Tingle Creek last year. So do you really want to be trusting Shishkin at odds on? I don't, but I want to sit back, watch him, and hopefully it's another emphatic victory for him.
So Shishkin to win for Dave. Andrew.
Yeah, fascinating race. If I was having a bet, he gave me a 3-5. I'd put it on Pick Dory at sort of 7-4, 15-8. Strawfan Jack was one I was a bit gutted that we haven't seen him so far this season, because he's got an incredible record in the month of October. 3 wins and 2 seconds, both by a head. He's in my tracker as right October. Get some wages for this one, and we're not seeing him now until late in November. He's afforded a 1 shot. He's outclassed here, but just interesting that he has gone well at a similar time of year before. But yeah, having written off Shishkin once already, I don't think it's wise to do so again, even though it's first-time cheap pieces. But I think it should be a good battle, and even though there's only 4 runners, I'm hoping that we get to see Pick Dory and Shishkin going at it from a long way out and get a close finish.
Yeah, hopefully so. If we can get a magnificent finish involving Shishkin again, then that's something that we all want to see in those first-time cheap pieces, of course. Now, back to Haydock for a graduation chase for 4-year-olds and over 2 mile 5.5 furlongs at 150, where Gaillard de Menil is being sent over the Irish Sea by Willie Mullins. Brian Hayes taking the ride. He's the favourite here. So, Andrew, does the Mullins juggernaut from the season really sort of kick into top gear then this weekend? And does Gaillard de Menil head that?
The Mullins sort of roadshow will get going, I think, in no uncertain terms, but probably not with this one. Just the fact that he's been beaten on his comeback for the last 3 seasons, trips on the sharp side, and God bless him, Brian Hughes is on board, so wouldn't be my favourite jockey. So I'm going to take him on. I mean, this is a cracking race. The 3 at the top of the market, all set for good seasons. But the fact that Gaillard de Menil was last seen running 3rd to Courage Ramble in the Grand National, and because his improvements come when he's been stepped up to 3 miles or further. Similar comments apply to Apple Away. I mean, what a fantastic season she had. Beat the boys in Grade 1 company at Aintree when we last saw her. But again, you look at her form, since stepped up to 3 miles or further, second by half a length, first. So, quoted after that Aintree win as saying she's a proper 3-miler. So, I mean, you're not a million miles short of that, but it is a chase debut. She's going 2 miles 5. So the one I'm going to go for is Grey Dawning, a horse I was a big fan of last season. He looked beaten on more than one occasion and came back to win. He's got a fantastic attitude. So he ended last season on the 4, but he came back with that good 3rd at Exeter and Stairway Phase race. And I thought Grey Dawning, with that run behind him, is going to be sharper, I think, than the other pairs. So Grey Dawning for me.
2-1. And actually, just as I've refreshed the page, Brian Hayes was supposed to be riding Gaillard de Menil. It's now changed to Patrick Mullins, just on the refresh. So yeah, even the jockey switches up. We can't predict with Willie Mullins where horses are going to go, what they're going to run in, who's going to ride him. But Dave, Gaillard de Menil here. Now Patrick Mullins is riding him, but you siding with him?
Yeah, I think I am going to have to. Obviously, we've talked about Shishkin for the Donnellys. First-time cheap pieces, Andrew said, they could be just looking to answer some questions. This is a really nice type of race, right? It's for horses that haven't won more than 2 chases. So you can get 8th season chasers if they've just not been winning races. But you've got horses in here as well, like Apple Away, that are making their chase debut. Fair play to For Connections for that, because they keep running around flat tracks, which I'm going to knock them for until they send them somewhere undulating like a Cheltenham type. But they could have run in a mare's chase at Huntingdon where she would have absolutely had a pretty much walkover. So I'm glad they've shoved her in here. The bookmakers have reacted to that, though, and that's pushing out Gaillard de Mesnil's price. He's as big as 7-4 at the time of recording, which I think is redonkulous. Yes, he's an out-and-out stare, won the national hunt chase, third in a national, but his last 3 RPRs over this trip, 148, 156, 151. When he has run over fences as a novice, he was behind Gallopin Deschamps and Mighty Potter over this trip, so he's not exactly going up against short ones. Second in a Ballymore to Bob Ollinger as well. Like, he has got form at this trip. On the adjusted figures, because you've got to give weight away, I just think that he can afford to do that just about with these types of horses. Grey Dawning obviously got picked up by Stay Away Faye the last day, but I just don't think that the horse is anywhere near in the calibre of a Gaillard de Mesnil. Apple Away I've touched on. She should go well, but we're all judging her on that single run from Aintree as far as I'm concerned. She was 131 rated before that, but the way that this race is set up, she'd only get £7 from Gaillard de Mesnil in a grade 1. She'd only get 15 in a handicap, but she gets £18 here. So I see that's why she's popular. Willie Mullins knows better than everyone, right? Patrick's on board. This is a good opportunity for Gaillard de Mesnil to go and win. I do respect what Andrew said, that he doesn't win first time up typically, but Willie Mullins, if he wanted to send this horse out just for a race, wouldn't have to pay the ferry fees if he needed to. There's plenty of races in Ireland to go in. He is over here to get and win on the board as far as I'm concerned. So 7-4 about him. When he was about even money earlier, I think that's more than enough to say we've got to bet Gaillard de Mesnil.
Gaillard de Mesnil at 7-4. Then, as you say, that does look a pretty feasible price for any sort of Willie Mullins runner, especially one over here in a small runner field such as this. Now back to Ascot for the grade 2 Ascot Hurdle for 4-year-olds and over 2 mile 3 at 205. Now we have 5 declared runners, so back to 2 places on offer in comparison to our last Ascot race anyway, headed by Goshen the Market. So Dave, does he behave himself here, and does he manage to win again, but obviously with Noel Houlihan taking the ride because Jamie Moore is out injured?
Yes, 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 and all the yeses. Goshen's the man, isn't he? As much as he's got his quirks and he's a little bit mad, aren't we all to be in this game? I think he's a pretty good bet, to be fair. Top price 9-4. It's different to last year, although the ground might read similar. People have got to be very careful of that. There was a bit of rain about Ascot last year. This year it's dry as a bone, which wouldn't be a positive for Goshen, but I don't think it's enough of a negative to temper my enthusiasm with him. On adjusted figures, he comes out as 154. Theatre Glory is no runs at Ascot, but 152. So Royal, no runs at Ascot, 152. Strong Leader, no runs here, 149. And then Blue King Daru, 1 from 1 here, beating Affodil, but 145 on those adjusted figures. So the 2 that haven't got so much to find, Theatre Glory and So Royal, haven't got the experience around here, which I think is quite important. And if we look at the last RPRs for these horses, Goshen's will only take right-handed because he doesn't go left, does he? 153, 159, 156, 161, 160. Theatre Glory's best is 155. So Royal's is 159, but he's old enough to smoke now. Strong Leader's 152. Blue King Daru is 139. Basically, on figures, Goshen should win this, even if he doesn't run his best. But we know if he doesn't run his best, then he will run probably his worst. Like, he'll be way and below. But we're compensated for that in the price. I think this is an easier race than last year. We had to give £6 to Brewing Up a Storm, and he gave him an absolute spanking. So I'm a little bit worried about the fact there's no rain about, because it will make the ground a little bit faster than he might like. But I've just got no problems with that in terms of betting him. I think 9-4 is a juicy price for Goshen. I think he'll win. And just lastly, Blue King Daru, I cannot believe this is as short as it is. Like, I feel like they're just running it because the connection just want to have a horse in a grade 2. He has no right to be shorter than So Royal or Strong Leader in a race like this. He's the worst priced horse of the whole weekend. So cue him dotting up or doing Goshen in a photo.
He's going to go off 7-4 and bulk up.
Watch the money pile in and then bolt up now. Oh no. But yeah, 11-2 though at present. Blue King Daru. We love the bullish statements from Dave as ever, but very keen on Goshen. Andrew, who are you siding with? Don't say Blue King Daru.
I've got a major problem with what Dave said. So Royal will never be old enough to smoke because the government are going to raise the smoking age 1 year every year. So even when he's 72, he won't be able to enjoy a cigarette. But don't smoke, kids. It's not cool. Yeah, this is really tricky. So Goshen last year's winner, loves going right-handed, small field, ideal. but will it be soft enough? Possibly not. Fear to Glory, very talented, but he does jump out to his left when he goes right-handed. Hasn't stopped him running well on right-handed tracks before, but you do worry about that trait resurfacing and costing him ground. But it's going to be funny, isn't it? Because you're going to have Goshen going off to the right and Fear to Glory going off to the left. So maybe someone can come through the middle and do the pair. I think I'll take a chance with Strong Leader for Ollie Murphy. Now, I know he was disappointed last time out, but perhaps wasn't the first, the only one from the yard to do that. And we've seen in recent days, you know, sort of Thomas Darby and the one at Market Raisin today, not long after we came on air, Itchy Feet have sort of you know, bounced back to winning ways recently. Sean Bone riding out of his skin. Bluke and Duro, is interesting that they avoided the Greatwood Hurdle and came here. Bit of you know, question mark over the trip, but I still think he could be anything. So Royal usually goes well in small fields, didn't run well under conditions that should have suited on his comeback, and age obviously catching up with him. So yeah, just a chance on Strong Leader, but no strong opinion.
6-1, and he is the best looking horse you will ever see. Oh, I just love that horse just because he is just exactly what I would want in a horse, but obviously not on the back of 10 last time out. But he's a 6-1 outsider because of that. So different ways to play the Ascot Hurdle. Right, back to Haydock for the Stayers handicap hurdle, a premier handicap for 4-year-olds and over 3 miles at 220. We have another Mullins runner at the head of the market. This time, though, it's Emmett Mullins who trains Slate Lane. But Andrew, who are you siding with for the Stayers?
Yeah, this is a cracking old race. Slate Lane, a bit difficult to assess. He's sort of won 3 Mickey Mouse races in the UK since joining Emmett Mullins latterly at Newton Abbot, I think it was, and up £14 for that. You know, could have won by a lot further than the official distance. A lot of guesswork involved. Crambo, I love. He's 6 from 6 below Grade 1 level. And you've got to remember that you know, go back to last season, he'd gone off at you know, 7-1 to beat Hermes Allen in the Cheltenham Hurdle at Newbury. I know he was pulled up that day, but and then only 7th at Aintree in another Grade 1, although he was 20-1 that day and he beat half the field. But I think he's very progressive. He's a big gamble on his handicap hurdle debut at Aintree last time. Won well, step up in trip should suit. So I think he's going to go well. A Bold Endeavour, I think, will win a big race this season. He probably wants to go right-handed on decent ground, though. And Lord Snooty was the other one I was looking at, who jumps out to his left, but they ran him right-handed a couple of times earlier this year. He went to the Punchestown Festival, ran well, finishing 5th in a big handicap hurdle, 25 runners despite going out to his left. And then he made a Horlicks of one at right-handed Galway when we saw him last. So these are 2 runs in handicap hurdles going left-handed, an easy win at Warwick, and then a good second at Uttoxeter, doing best of those who came from off the pace. So I think he'll be suited by the tempo of the race. I'd probably put up Lord Snooty each way, but Crambo 7-2, I think his chance is covered in the price. So at the current prices, I'll go Lord Snooty each way over Crambo.
Okay, 7-1 about Lord Snooty. Crambo at 7-2. Dave?
Yeah, good looking race. And we've had loads of Irish runners that have come over that have flopped in this race. But I'm not going to pay attention to that. And I'm going to trust each horse by their own merit. I think Slate Lane, I mean, obviously he looks pretty good, but I think he's well within his rights to be able to defy the stone rise that he got for that Newton Abbot win. I reckon he's like, I genuinely think he's like a 140s horse. He's running off a 127 here. So I expect him to win. He is about a 7-2 poke. Front of the market, I'm a tiny bit scared that he's not shorter. I know that sounds mad, but I would prefer to see some extra confidence behind him. Actually, it's 130 time of recording, but I'm going to bet him for definite. But I do want some cover just because we've been bitten in the past, like I said, with these Irish horses. Dubrovnik Harry was one on the short list, but I couldn't make a strong enough case for him. The one that I think I can make a pretty strong case for is Ematom. He ran 2nd in a Pertemps qualifier at Newbury just over a couple of weeks ago. Prior to that, he beat Highland, who won that Cheltenham qualifier with Dubrovnik Harry was in there. So while he's up £3 for that to 130 now, he's only had a couple of starts for Alan King, and he peaked at 155, what his RPR did. And that came in the Rendlesham Hurdle at this track in 2020 something.
Yeah,
a long time back. He's running the Rendlesham since, but he's unfortunately just not really done anything. He sort of went through like a wayward period where just seemed to lose his way. They gave him a Windhoek and stuff. So I know you could use the bad form at Haydock as a marker. He just had bad form everywhere. So ignore that. He likes it round here. Alan King's a smart, shrewd trainer. I think that run at Newbury was to put him spot on for this. He's got him qualified, which is the icing on the cake for the attempts in March. He'd probably need to go up in the handicap to be able to win that or to get into the race at least anyway. I think he's got a proper chance of 130 in it, and he is about a 12-1 poke, I think, at the time of recording. There was some fortunes about that might still be there. 5 places up for grabs, and now that Alan King's got this horse running properly, he is just better than a 130 horse. So I think he'll definitely be in the places. Emma Tom for the cover, but Slate Lane for the win.
We'll have to have a conversation about Alan King being a true trainer at some point, Dave. That's for another time. So, instructing his jockey to go around the inside when it's swamped like at Ascot is one of the many issues I have. But
he loves his horses being ridden on the rail. Yeah, and you do kind of feel sorry for some of the jockeys that get put in that position then where they have to follow instruction. But 14-1 top price I can see about him. 5 places with BetMGM each way plus race a fifth of the odds, and he is £20 lower rated than when he won the Rendlesham over this course and distance 3 years ago. Well, it will be 4 years ago. Anyway, then previously. Now, I like Crambo in here. I feel like I'm being quite an original towards ahead of the market. And as you said, Andrew, that I feel that his price is an accurate reflection of his chances at 7-2 in here, and winning an entry handicap hurdle on your reappearance coming into this race is shown to be a positive to be bringing into this particular contest in recent years. That's exactly what Crambo did. Well backed and winning so cozy as well. I think Conor Brace did well to only win by 2 1/4 lengths, to be honest. He rides him again here, and he was a talented novice hurdler last season. Already looks to have taken his form forwards on his reappearance. He remains unexposed, so still as a handicapper, winning the EBF final last year, which is always form I want to follow in mind with handicap hurdlers overstaying trips the subsequent the following season then. So I like that. £6 rise looks more than feasible for Crambo at 7-2 for me. Right, grade 1 action up now in the form of the Morgiana Hurdle for 4-year-olds and over 2 miles at 235. And it's Mullins versus Elliott. 2 runners apiece in here. State Man a short price favourite. So Dave, what are we doing with the Morgiana?
We're watching it. We're enjoying what's going to happen, because I can already tell you what the comments will say post-race. It will say led, travelled strongly, nudged clear, easily. State Man's going to go and put a statement out there for this particular race. Echoed in Rain would be the only other one that I think's worth a mention, just for the fact that she has got a reasonable record at Punchestown. Won a couple of times, second to a peak honeysuckle round here, but Shah just smashed her in 2021 in this particular race. State Man, we know, is at least as good as Sharjah. Officially, he's £2 better than that horse back then. 5 of her 6 wins as well came past January, so she's got to be mentioned because she's worthy of a mention here. But yeah, State Man's just going to bolt up. So just sit back, enjoy, and it will whet the appetite for March.
Definitely will do. State Man to be the statement man then for Dave. Andrew,
shouldn't you be lumping on Dave at 3 on?
I mean, he should be short, shouldn't he?
Yeah. I mean, I was looking at 11-4 on earlier, thinking that's pretty generous actually, because Echoes in Rain won't be winning because she needs a big field and strong pace. She tends to come to hand in the spring, and she's a wonderful horse. Runs well on the flat as well. But she was last of 3 behind Shardra in this race previously. She'll pull hard. I think State Man will just go off in front. I mean, Field to Dairy, the 40-1 shot is a front runner, but front runner won't be able to live with State Man. But I've got a simple flowchart for Grade 1 hurdles this season. Is Constitution Hill running? Yes, if so, tip. If not, is State Man running? Yes, if so, tip. And then that's it, basically. So, State Man's, I would expect, if he stands on his feet, will win this very easily. And I think Pied Piper will finish second. The computer straight forecast is not going to pay huge, probably sort of 6-4, 13-8, maybe 7-4 if you're lucky. But I think that's how I'd play the race.
Yeah, so that potential forecast then for State Man to beat Pied Piper, if you can get those sort of prices, ideal.
Actually, right, probably be evens looking at that, but
we'll take what we can get. But like I say, if you can get any sort of odds against with that, then ideal. The feature race of the weekend up now is the Grade 1 Betfair Chase for 5-year-olds and over 3 mile, 1.5 furlongs at 3 o'clock at Haydock. Brave Man's Game, he gets the green light to run, partnered, of course, so by Daryl Jacob, and he has 3 rivals to contend with. So, Andrew, what are we doing with the Betfair Chase?
Yeah, I mean, normally the angle with Brave Man's Game is you just back in between October and February, and he just wins every time. Apart from, I think the only time, well, he's only been beaten twice now. First time up was on his hurdles debut when he got chinned half a length at Chepstow. He wasn't favourite, and then of course last time out, Gentleman's Game. A lot of been written about that. Criticism of Harry Cobden, and I just thought he was beaten by a better horse on the day. Didn't think there was anything untoward about the ride or anything like that. Just probably shows you where the British trained horses are against their Irish counterparts. Really, that what seems not to be a superstar in Ireland can come over here and wipe the floor with us. So. Protectorate, last year's winner, good chance of going in again. Dan Skelton's been very bullish in the press. You really want it to turn heavy, probably to back Royal Pagaille, but it does like this track and could go well. I mean, Corash Rambler, I mean, I know he was well beaten on his comeback, but he has taken a big step forward from first run to second run previously as well. I mean, I'm just going to stick all four in the place ball and hope for the best. If you press me to back one, I'd back Corash Rambler. Given the form of the yard and the fact that you can forgive that comeback run, I think.
Yeah, they're operating at a 19% strike rate at present, 11-1. The outsider at the time of recording, Corash Rambler, but all four in the place spot for Andrew. Dave, where were you looking?
Yeah, I felt like I wanted to look away earlier in the week. I'm a little bit uncomfortable with the whole Brave Man's Game situation, because I know there's going to be the links between what happened in the Charlie Hall and whether Harry Cobden was jocked off or not, but how Harry Cobden has ridden this horse in so many races where he's done a great job on him. That King George ride, I thought he got it wrong by going out wide, and he got it completely right. It's the first Grade 1 in England, and he's not allowed to ride him. Like, I just feel sick for him. It makes me feel uncomfortable for that fact, right? It seems like a bit of an afterthought. This wasn't the initial plan. He should have won the Charlie Hall, but they weren't ever going to flog him that day. He should win the Betfair Haydock Chase on figures, but 42 grand for second, you might as well pick that up rather than do a bit of work at home. I wouldn't trust, I mean, it sounds bad to say, but I wouldn't trust money in this race if you were looking to bet personally. He is like the best horse in the race, and he should win this. But like I said, I don't know. I feel weird with it, especially with Shishkin switching to Ascot. I wonder whether that was a part of it as well. And they thought, this is a race that we can pop up in and we can pick up second place. So I do think if you were to only look by the form book and not to be as, like, I guess, maybe deluded as I am, trying to read into things more than you should, Brave Man's Game should win this. Yes, Protectorate was very impressive in the race last year, but I do think Dan Skelton's horses are needing a run at the minute. Dan Skelton said he could get this horse ready for a Cotswolds Chase, said he was ready for it, got beat by a Hoy Signor, then said after, oh, maybe I didn't quite get him right. And I'm just worried about that for a preparation. So while he's a price that would tempt a few people in there, if Brave Man's Game's on his day, he will bolt up and win this. I just don't know if he would be. So again, it would be the same as the Shishkin race, the 1965. We'll learn a lot more from watching it than we would by betting in it, I think. So sit back, watch it impartially, and then I hope that Brave Man's Game goes and bolts up.
Just on another side, do you think Protectorate likes Cheltenham? I know he's won there twice, but the first time it was like listed company. The second time it was a sort of forerunner novice chase class 2 when he was 6-5 favourite. When he's sort of gone there in a better class of race, he does tend to get chinned. I just wonder if he's more of a flat track horse. Haydock, Aintree, that's where his best runs have come.
Yeah, I think with him, he's maybe just a horse. The flat stuff does help. He tracked a Plutarch, didn't he, in the race when he won the Haydock, the Betfair Chase, and I thought that was a bit strange. I thought they would have kicked on with him, Harry Skelton, but I wonder if change of tactic to Cheltenham, they try and be a bit too aggressive with him there. I don't think he is just exclusively a flat track horse, but I would definitely rather bet him around Haydock than I would Cheltenham. And that's the thing, the 2-1 makes it tempting, doesn't it? But Brave Man's Game, in your head, he should be good enough to win this. Sit back and watch, enjoy it, and let's just hope that 19 more fences practice for Brave Man's Game sets him up right for the King George.
We're only jumping 6.
Oh God, son, stay away, please. I'm pleased that you've both echoed my thoughts about this race, where Brave Man's Game, on everything we know, should really be winning this, but it is a little bit of an afterthought, and I don't imagine some of the connections are too keen to be running him here, because the idea was just to go straight to the King George. So yeah, it's confusing, and that price is tempting for me, 2-1 about Protectorate, but at the same time, Brave Man's Game is in my 10 to follow stable, with the Betfair Chase being the first bonus race. So I didn't really expect him to be running here, but yeah, this is hopefully some bonus points picked up then for a completely other reason for me. Right, back to Ascot for more handicap action. It's a handicap chase for 4-year-olds and over 2 miles, half a furlong at 3:15, where we have plenty of the opposing form then from a course and distance handicap chase for plenty of these last time out runs. Boot Hill came out on top that time. So Dave, can he do so again this time around?
He probably can. One last thing on the Betfair Chase. I will just say, in all the quandaries of what's going on with everything, like fair play for Paul Nicholls for actually running the horse in the race. Everyone would be saying, why wasn't he sent it when it was just protected out in the race? At least he's putting him in a race. So as much as we're having question marks about it, probably all of that's just speculation from nothing, and he probably is just putting a good horse out for the people to watch. So we're lucky to have him. In this race, we're lucky to have Boot Hill as well, because he was very good last time, earlier this month when he won here. Up £6 for that. He's off 155 now. I don't think I can make a case against him going in again, but then I don't really feel confident enough to tip him or back him. Saint Segal was in that race last time. He was my selection. He did really well because we know how keen he is. You probably need a couple of runs to get the freshness out of him, but did very well off the front. He does take a couple of runs to get the freshness out of him. He's got £7 swing with Boot Hill, which should be enough to potentially reverse that form, but like I say, he may just be fresh again. I don't see him out the frame. It is only 8 runners at the moment, so I would hold fire, and I'd suggest if you're going to bet Saint Segal, make sure you can still get 3 places. Give him a go. I don't think Corrigan Rock really likes it here. Was outpaced before, and I think I'll see the same again. Triple Trade's £1 well in for winning at Cheltenham, but that looked like a hard race. I can't believe that 8 days would be enough to recover, so I'm slightly against him. Fred Arms falls into the Skelton second time out angle if that ever possibly works, but we have to wait for enough of them to run second time out to find out what's going. But he ran very well here, although he blew up late. And then Ocon Risk's worth a mention as well, because he's got 1 win, 2 seconds from his free chase start, was within a length of Boot Hill in the Wayward lad last year. He was off, that was levels then. He gets £11 here. He was also second to Fred Arms, giving £10, and he now gives that horse 11. So that form from last season, he can't probably take it literally. And I don't think this horse really stays 2 miles, and this is 2 mile 1, but I think he'll be supported. He's one to consider at a double figure price for like placey terms, but I also think Saint Segal's a placey one. So I've mentioned basically all of the horses in here. Saint Segal would be my bet as long as 8 runners and 3 places hold up.
Yeah, we've got the 3 places on offer with BetMGM at present, a fifth of the odds. So Saint Segal, do just watch there in case we do get any defections with the 8 declared runners at present. Andrew?
Yeah, very similar thoughts to Dave, really. Boot Hill, 2 from 2 at the track, and he's who's the best British trained 2 mile chaser at the moment? John Bond, and he's finished second to that one. Last season in Grade 1 company, and no reason why he can't go well here under top weight. He's now drifted to a backable price. I think he's run about 9 to 4, 5 to 2. On the rest, I mean, Saint Segal, good comeback run. Jane Williams horses generally need that first run back, and I thought he'd go well. Corrigan Rock is a funny old sort. He keeps winning right-handed despite jumping out to his left. But like Dave says, although Sandown on paper looks very similar, stiff and right-handed, he does seem a lot better there than he is here at Ascot. Fred Armé again will improve that comeback run. Triple Trade, it is a strange one because he liked the soft ground at Cheltenham. After that win, connections were quoted as saying they're going to wait for Newbury next week and run him there. And they were sort of saying, that might come a bit too soon, and that's another week away. So it just seems slightly odd that on drying ground they're running him again so quickly, but he's very progressive and he is in good form. Ocon Risk having his second spell over fences. Not 100% sure. I'd rather sort of see how he copes with this again. His jumping can be put under pressure. Funambule similar, great horse. Qualifies as a bet for me because he's a Venetian Williams trained handicap chaser in November, but he needs 2 or 3 runs. He comes to hand sort of February time. He likes Newbury, flat left-handed track, so I'd be against him here. Melistic, I was worried about the course and the jockey. I'll go Boot Hill over Saint Segal and Fred Armé, but they're like sort of favourite, second favourite, and fourth favourite in the race, so there's not a lot of juice in those prices, really, I suppose.
Yeah, so most horses probably about where they should be really in the market. And I agree with Boot Hill, again, being slightly unoriginal here towards the head of the market. But he didn't let me down last time out, so I'm not about to abandon him now for very similar reasons to last time. A really likeable horse whose defeats last season could easily be excused because A, either positional bias, or B, bumping into a really good horse, as you've just said, Andrew. So he got his rewards last time out, 3 from 3 in handicap chases, 2 of which over this course and distance. £6 rise is very fair. And if he wins this, then a tilt back at graded company looks on the agenda, which I think he's very much up to. And hopefully he can win another course and distance handicap en route, and beating plenty of the same horses as last time out. Now, our final scheduled race. This is a 0 to 145 handicap chase for 4-year-olds and over 3 mile 1.5 furlongs at 3:35 at Haydock. A pretty open contest headed by Famous Bridge at 7 to 2. So, Andrew, who wins it for you?
Yeah, interesting races. It's been a good one for last time out winners. Actually, you could back all those and make a profit. Credo will have her fans after that Wincanton victory last time, which is another fame and glory. And we've just seen yet another one win at Newcastle at 225 on Thursday afternoon. Moonlight Glory at a big price. I should have put all the fame and glories in a multiple today, but needless to say, I didn't. Credo likes small fields. All the wins are in single figure lineups. This has cut up quite significantly from the original 18 who were declared, so maybe she'll get away with it. Famous Bridge is one of my sort of tend to follow on GG this year. Went off favourite on his debut, looked in need of the run, and rallied really well to only go down by 3/4 of a length up to looking well beaten at one stage. It's possible, but at the back of my mind I'm thinking he might prove best in the spring. That's when he sort of hit form last year, but that comeback run suggests I'm probably been a bit unfair there. Another one for the tracker, Dubai Days. Put this one down to back in sort of February, March time. He comes to hand sort of as the spring approaches. But it's a tricky old race. I'll go for Famous Bridge. I mean, his chance again is covered in the price. I think he was 16 to 7 to 2 ante-post. But I've just got a nagging suspicion that Credo might run well on the back of that Wincanton success.
I really hope so, because she's my main play in here. So I really hope that that is the case. I just loved that win at Wincanton last time. I thought she was given a beast of a ride by Rex Dingle. Obviously, Sam Twiston Davis taking the ride this time around. And she just showed ground versatility as well. So whatever happens at Haydock, don't think it'll matter. 3 from 7 over fences. First one coming off a mark of 107. She's now rated 130, £23 rise, and 3 wins effectively. But she still looks ahead of the handicapper to me. And I'll have a little bit on Coconut Splash, because you can't not have a little bit of each way play on everyone's favourite cliff horse. But there's my plays, Dave. What are you siding with?
Yeah, so you did say at the top of this that it's a 0 to 145. Mm-hmm. The top weight is 135. So that would let people know that as much as it's class 2 in nature, it's not a vintage renewal. Famous Bridge, his chances there for everyone to see. Right type of profile, improving horse, good run the last time over a trip that was inadequate. I will definitely be having a bet on him. He would be half-point win, and then I wanted to find half a point to stick on other ones. I'm not doing a Coconut Splash ever again, so I'm glad you're betting him, because at least one of us can either do our nuts again or win. Haute Esteem is the other mare.
Was that a joke? Do our nuts on Coconut Splash?
Do our coconuts on the splash.
But yeah, Haute Esteem, she's another mare in this race. She feels like she's got to win a race at some point. I think Nina the Terrier she beat here over a shorter trip. I'm not sure why they persist at the distance, though, because whenever she's running it, she's never really looked, I would say, probably like straightforward. Not saying she's not enjoying it, but she doesn't look like she wants to go past loads of horses. She's only 6 turning 7, and the yard really seem to think she wants this trip. So I suspect, I mean, there's already little nibbles about, and with Lucinda Russell's like horses, everyone seems to be getting excited. I expect her to be supported. I just don't think she stays. But sometimes we get it with these horses that they don't really stay in and around 3 miles. When you put them in excess and it is a real stamina-laden task, they might do it. So I needed to give her a mention, but again, I can't make enough of a case to bet her. But one I think I can make a pretty good case for is for the good doctor, Barley Body. We'd all have a Barley Body, wouldn't we? Especially this time of year. Made a comeback off of 701 days off the racetrack. And that looks like an okay run to me. Before that, he confirmed his liking to this type of test. He had 2 wins and a second over 3 miles plus. I'm going to put a line through his chase debut where he was hampered early, never really in the race. But other than that, I think he jumps fine, looks like a nice horse in and around this trip. Posted that an RPR of 117 in that comeback run, and he improved with his races when he first joined the yard. So I'd expect him to come on for that run instead of expecting him to bounce. Clearly had issues. He is bred to stay. He's already won it about this trip. So despite being an 8-year-old, he's entitled to have improved from those efforts I've talked about. They were 2 years ago. Gets in this race off of a similar sort of mark. So the fact that it's not a 0 to 145, although it is by name, he's only got like 135 type horses in front of him. So I would say the Barley Body is being disrespected in the market, and he's my each way play with Famous Bridge of the Whim.
No body shaming here. 12 to 1 then about Barley Body, but also a notable vote of confidence then for Famous Bridge. Right, Cheltenham chat time. Again, just as we did last week, where we were putting the weekend action into the context of the overall season and the flagship meeting of which is, of course, the Cheltenham Festival. So, again, sort of anti-post approach, looking ahead from this weekend in the context of the Cheltenham Festival. Dave, did you have anything for us?
Of course I do. It's Cheltenham. If you've asked me if I've got anything to say about it, I'll be as quick as I can again. I'm going to run through the Friday, Saturday, Sunday ones with just a quick line on them, because there's a few that you've got to make note of, and there's a few that you should think about betting for Cheltenham if you like their chances. So Friday, Better Days Ahead goes in the 3-mile maiden hurdle. That fell on debut. Albert Bartlett type all day long. Looks the Dower stayer. In the following race that day, Friday, Mr. Policeman will make his chase debut after just 1 run over hurdles for Willie Mullins and only 3 starts over hurdles in his career. Lots of talk about this horse being a genuine Arkle prospect. So while he should win this, hopefully we'll see something special. He's top price at a general 8 to 1 for the Arkle in March before this. Saturday, away from what we've covered, which is some fantastic racing, we will see Gaelic Warrior making his chase debut in Punchestown. So for all I've got concerns about him going left-handed and as a Cheltenham horse, he should do something pretty special right-handed here, over 2 miles free. And that will help us on the clock for comparison for the following race. We've got the Albert Bartlett 2nd and 3rd, Affadale Fury, Sandor Clegg, and they're taking on Jules Stale's hurdle winner, Florin Porter in the Florida Pearl Novices Chase. Throw in the 2021 Triumph hurdle winner, Calixolos, as well. One of my horses to follow, Favre de Champdou. That shows you the depth of that race. Undoubtedly, that will be informative for National Hunt Chase, Brown Advisory, and the handicaps in March. On this side of the tee on Saturday, I just need to quickly mention another one of my horses to follow. Chianti Classico runs in the opener at Ascot. It's a small field handicap chase. I think he's a proper staying chaser. He might not even end up as a handicap. He might end up as a graded horse. So hopefully we'd see him go and win again. Sunday, I know Kat had already talked about the fact that the feature race of the weekend was the Betfair Chase. It's not. We get to see the John Dirk, and we get Galloping de Champ back, and he will be back against Fast or Slow, who will be trying to show some semblance of the form which saw him beat Galloping de Champ and Brave Man's Game in April. Before that, though, Willie Mullins is sending out Ballyburn in a 2-mile maiden hurdle, which was won by Appreciate It and Champagne Fever. Both of those went on to win the Supreme. He's a current 6 to 1 favourite for the Ballymore in March, yet he's 12 to 1 for the Supreme, which I think is his race. So again, take note of that. The yard will also unleash Tully Hill, who's more of a staying novice. They've got another horse, Another Way, who's a half-brother to Concertista. But they've also got Enola, who I think is Willie Mullins' best novice mare this season. She's 12 to 1 for the mare's novice in March. Again, I think that price should be snapped up already. Also in the bumper, they've got a horse called Soy de Grade, who's a half-brother to State Man and Statuaire, both Grade 1 winning hurdlers. So while they've got this in a bumper, I don't think he's a champion bumper horse. When they send him over hurdles, get stuck in on Soy de Grade.
Okay, loads to go at them from Dave. Like I say, silly question, really. If he had anything to go forward, Andrew, Cheltenham chat.
Back State Man each way at 8 to 1 for the champion hurdle with the sponsors BetMGM. I mean, barring injury, State Man's going to get there and it's going to be 7 to 2, 4 to 1, I would imagine, behind Constitution Hill. And who knows if something happens to Constitution Hill or they go for the Gold Cup. That was a joke. Then he might end up being a short price favourite. But if you're looking at doing some anti-post each way doubles and trebles with some other fancies, putting State Man in at 8 to 1 for that champion hurdle, I suspect he's going to win very easily on Saturday in the Morgiana, as he's entitled to, but he'll still shorten up. That 8 to 1 won't be available if he does. And the other one I was looking at is Bold Endeavour, who runs in the big handicap hurdle at the 220. He's already qualified for the Pertemps final. He was 5th to Langadans at the Coral Cup last year, staying on well. I think, although certainly over fences, he showed a preference for racing right-handed. He jumped out to his right. He gets away with it over hurdles. And I think all roads lead to the Perth Thames final for Bold Endeavour. And as a Fame and Glory, who will be 8 next year, he's currently a 7-year-old. He's improving with age, and I think he could be interesting. He's as big as 33 to 1 with the firm, so betting on it for the Perth Thames final. So yeah, if you've got rather than waste £2 on the lottery, which is for mugs, it's a tax on the poor and the stupid, as some people say, then have your £1 each way on Bold Endeavour and Stateman.
Oh, Bold Endeavour already qualified for the P race, the Pertemps, and he goes out this weekend, so do watch him. And as you say, 8 to 1 current time of recording, Stateman for the Champion Hurdle. Not so bad, old each way anti-post play. Right, Dave, I will go back to you then, please, for your nap of this weekend.
Okay, well, there's no such thing as being a little bit mad. So if I'm going to back Goshen, he's the nap. All in on Goshen.
All in on Goshen. You have to do it with him, really, don't you? Andrew, your nap, please.
Oh, you caught me by surprise then, haven't you? Asking for a nap. I'll go each way, Lord Snotty, or is it Snooty or Sooty? In that 220, and reluctantly take on Crambo, and maybe yeah. So each way on Lord Snooty, and have a look reverse forecast Lord Snooty and Crambo.
Okay, and I will take up the mantle from there because I'm going to take you on in terms of the nap. So I'm pleased to see that you still like Crambo. I'll go Crambo in the 220 at Haydock for my own nap. Right, that is everything from us on this week's show. Big thank you to Dave and to Andrew for all of their hard work as per usual. Big thank you to our sponsors, BetMGM. Thank you so much to you for watching. We'll be back at the same time next week to preview more weekend action.